Hey everybody, we're here for the third episode, the long-awaited episode of the RLG cast. I'm here with JohnnyDonuts Triple Sevs, and I'm here with the Puttyman. He's made out of putty, and his friends are nutty. So today
I'm the right one.
He's the right one. Today we're
This
specifically
is part
talking
two to that
about.
one.
Shut up. Today we're specifically talking about DC, the announcements of their entire universe, and I'm glad that the last video we made didn't work, because a lot of other stuff has come out. And I mean, so we're generally going to discuss that, and then we'll also have a pitch for one of the announced projects, and then also talk about a character we want to come in next. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So we're only sticking to DC here. We won't stray too far off. Putty will. Somehow Deadpool.
I was gonna say he'll find a way to work Deadpool.
Oh no,
into this one.
they have their own, and it'll come up later. Okay, don't worry. They have kind of their own that I already love.
Yeah,
so.
he sucks. So we're gonna jump right into this. So what I'm gonna do is we'll go through the slate of announced projects and talk about it. And when we get to your project, you can give your pitch. So
Sounds good.
Okay.
Generally, just before we get into this, okay? Each of you give me quickly what you think the trajectory is for DC with James Gunn.
A slow burn and a slow build with some funny, wacky content thrown in there. I don't think it's going to be like we discussed in Putty's video where everything's going to have to connect to everything. There are going to be some standalone movies, and eventually there will be some common thread within them.
Jumping on that one, I agree with that. I think that that's something James Gunn has learned working in a certain other universe. My thing is this: I'm excited. I'm a little bit concerned only because James Gunn does push on the side of comedic a lot more when it comes even with the drama things, and it really works. But there's just some movies that or characters that really need to stick with a dark tone to them or just a light tone, nothing in between. And with dark, you really can't be too comedic unless you're going for something that's self-deprecating or something like that. If that makes sense, something.
Yeah, I want to add on that, Putty, though. That's with his directed movies. If he's just a producer and he's not directing the movie, then maybe we may not get that overly comedic stuff.
That is true. Yeah. Okay. No. I appreciate that because that was my concern. But I'm because again, I really like the way things are going, because even though I'm sitting over there like, oh, a certain universe that I'm really, really more deep into is kind of on the decline. The other universe that I grew up on that actually started in the movie universe more uncommonly than the actual, well, I'll say the cartoon, which is the DC universe, was more something I saw on the screen than I did back in the day when it came to Marvel. So it's nice to see this coming in to the fold to become something that is what great about MCU, but let's just hope he's going to take it slow. Yes, use some obscure characters. Don't forget about your really, really popular characters, because you don't want to ignore them, and find a way to bring them in like you've already been doing over in another universe, if you know what I'm talking about.
Okay, he's talking about the Super Mario universe. So
the Harry Potter universe.
We're going to jump right into the movies now. So I'm going to start going through them, and we'll just have like our little thoughts. So Superman Legacy.
I'm interested to see his take on it. He says he wants to cast somebody younger, so it's going to take place at an earlier time of Superman's career. Maybe he hasn't met Lois yet. He hasn't started working at the planet yet. He's still that naive farm boy.
Yeah, I think
that's what I need to see in Superman.
You should go Earth 1, where he's just got to Metropolis. Start off showing him a little bit at the end of his like high school years, where he's a football player and whatever, and then as he moves to Metropolis to become a reporter, because he wants to do that.
Right.
Like, I want him to have relatable outside of being Superman passions. Like, I want to be a reporter.
Yeah,
this is
I think
that's
what the Man of Steel suffered from. We didn't get Clark Kent.
Yeah, there's no Clark Kent.
The only problem is I'm not familiar with this one as much as far as this storyline that they're going for. Probably something that I missed.
I don't know
books.
this one either.
Yeah, so I don't. I'm the same way. If they're going from much younger, definitely give that vibe. I mean, I wouldn't mind having more back to a Smallville kind of situation because that was really a good story, but not like I don't want to go full on like keep it long in Smallville, but I would like to have that chemistry or that love that family had,
I
and
mean, the first Superman 78 had that. They had Superman as a child, and they jumped and
yeah,
they jumped, and,
yeah,
Which is what I
exactly,
think he's gonna do here. You could see right away that his main goal is to pay respects to the first movies for all of them, right? And that's a good thing because he even said he wants to go back to a more traditional suit. He wants to go back to a less jacked guy who's just like large but not like extremely like Henry Cavill.
yeah.
And I think that's fine. I don't care about Superman anyways. If you can find a way to make a
I
Superman
mean, he's
movie
okay. He's
get
right
me to
there.
care, yeah. If you can do it in a way that gets me to care about it, then you won your battle.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so I'm moving on here. Sorry, that was so the next one is Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow.
Which is my pitch.
All right, so before you give your pitch, me and Putty will give thoughts. I'm sure Putty has similar thoughts to Superman. I just want them to make her a lot more naive than Clark. I want her to be like a really like destructive, overpowered, doesn't understand that it's not okay to kill humans situation.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't mind that. I hear the thing. The thing for me was a little bit confusing because a car thing. Because I glanced at it so much so quickly. The whole multiversal window that they're opening over on the Flash makes me wonder how that was going to go. So like now that I know that is the one, is that going to be the one we're going to get in this, or is
No.
this going to be okay?
It's a
Then
separate Supergirl
Yeah. That
Okay.
Supergirl is from the Batman 89 universe.
Okay.
that makes sense now. Okay, well, see that.
So my
doesn't
fan
bother me as
casting
much
can
then.
still work.
Yes, your fan casting will work.
Which means that so then see, I had no idea. I was afraid of just like you was. I think we talked about before, JD. That so okay. Then I mean that this all changes. It all depends on who's gonna be cast. I'll be honest with you. So, but hey, maybe JD can tell me exactly who's gonna be cast.
I'm looking at Samara Weaving to play
That's a
Supergirl.
wicked choice. Sticking with the Australian from the last Supergirl.
Right, but I mean, she's tall, she's blonde, she has that look to her. I think she would fit that role really, really well. She could play. So, the Woman of Tomorrow, I really hope they follow that Tom King storyline. Supergirl's 21. She wants to get loaded on her birthday and goes out into space, meets Ruthie. And Ruthie would be that perfect catalyst for the audience because in the comic book, Ruthie's the narrator telling you what Supergirl's doing. And if we have her as that like sidekick character who wants to hire Supergirl to get revenge on the murder of her parents, basically was what it was. And Supergirl has these moral beliefs that no, you can't go killing for vengeance, blah, blah, blah. And she just follows Supergirl on all these wacky adventures. They go fight dragons. They go fight like it's mystical. It's sci-fi. But it also humanizes Supergirl a little bit. They bring back the red kryptonite in that storyline, which, like I said, once again, humanizes the Supergirl character. I think that I think it's Tom King. If they follow that storyline, it doesn't have to be exact, but if they take bits from that Woman of Tomorrow storyline, and it doesn't even take place on Earth. It takes place far away from Earth. So you see the last days of Argo on Krypton as well. Like, you see where Supergirl came from, because remember, Supergirl was a lot older when she left Krypton. Clark was a baby and he was sent to Earth and he was fine. When Supergirl left, she was already in her teens, but there was something wrong with her pod and she aged as she was traveling in space. So Supergirl's already older by this point.
Well, Supergirl doesn't age while she's traveling. That's why, right? And meanwhile, because of the gravity of Earth, Clark is aging and she doesn't age. So she's technically older than Clark, but when she gets to Earth, younger. Clark is older than her.
Yeah. And I think, and because this doesn't take place on Earth, I think this would be a great catalyst to have, like I said in the beginning of the video, a catalyst to have a standalone movie, but there's that little underlying thread that eventually Supergirl and Superman will meet somewhere down the line.
And I think you could do something where, let's say, when in the first Superman movie, so you have Clark gets his costume made out of this materials in his pod, right?
Mm-hmm.
And his mom makes it for him, but make it look different than the normal Superman suit we're used to. And then when he finally meets Kara, she's wearing this, and she says, "Well, this is the soldier, the army, like the army's
that
gear."
sounds that this is the crest for the House of L.
Yeah, and
That's
like,
what it
exactly.
is.
the colors and the way the design is because this is how like the knights,
army.
the highest knights looked like this. So then he changes his suit to look
And
like her suit.
Going
which
back
is
to
what
my
we know as
pitch, if you
Superman.
look at Belquist Evely's artwork in Woman of Tomorrow, she looks strikingly a lot like Samara Weaving.
Well, Samara Weaving's also a really good actress, so I think that actually works. Okay, continuing on, The Brave and the Bold. So we talked about this at length, me and JD, and this is the thing. So The Brave and the Bold is different than the artwork that they keep showing when they talk about this movie. So the artwork they're showing is from Batman and Robin, I believe the Grant Morrison run.
Yes, the Grant Morrison run.
Where it's just after Batman RIP, so Batman is dead.
It's Dick Grayson
dead, and
as
Dick
Batman.
Grayson is Batman. And Damian Wayne is Robin. And to me, I'm okay with that storyline, but I feel like just jumping immediately into this leaves you a lot to explain when Bruce Wayne does come back at some point.
We'll talk about that when I do my character pitch.
Okay, but I still, you get what I mean, right? Like it kind of feels like, because they're missing the whole I can't remember what it's called, Chase for the Cowl or
Battle for the Cowl.
Battle for the Cowl, where all the main people, Catwoman even,
Azrael,
they're all fighting to become the next Batman, like to take over the mantle of Batman after Batman dies. And Dick Grayson ends up doing it. I mean, hey,
it has potential. That's
a great section there of Batman. I would have preferred if they did the Black Mirror. If you're gonna go with Dick Grayson, Robin, Black Mirror is like one of the top. That's Scott Snyder as well.
Yeah,
and that's good on them. I mean, I'm not hyped for this. It was surprisingly, it's one of my lower ones on the rankings, but because I don't think we're ready for Damian. I think if you're going to do Robin at this point, it should be Tim Drake. You can skip Jason and Dick, but I think it should be Tim.
Yeah, you can bring Jason in eventually as Red Hood.
Because Batman's dead. You have Dick Grayson, and now we're dealing also with all of that storyline. Plus, you have to introduce that Batman has a son who's 10 years old, and he's Robin, and he also fights adults, but he has no superpowers.
Hilarious.
Do you know what I mean?
He was trained by the League.
But it's still like, come on. What 10-year-old actor are you going to find that's going to pull this off?
True.
Even upwards of 13. You're going to make me believe a 13-year-old little boy is
kicking some.
But who could you even cast at this point, right?
Tum Tum from the Three Ninjas. Get Kino back. We need Kino back from Turtles 2.
Turtles 2.
Or you could get Rob Schneider from Surf Ninjas. So yeah, I mean that is what it is. Does anyone else have thoughts? I know I took up a lot of that.
No. I'll talk about it more when I do my character.
Okay. So
I don't know that. Yeah, that one
ahead,
I'm just I was just gonna say that one is a little bit. The thing is with that whole story, I read that comic digitally, and I don't know if I read the whole thing or not. But my situation is just like you said. When I heard they were doing it, I'm like, where are they setting all this up? Like this feels like you need to have the Iron Man. I feel like you need.
Yes,
to take
this is a deep. This is like a Phase 3 movie.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, how do you take this and make it into one movie? It doesn't feel right. I mean, I get a lot of people know these characters, but you're doing exactly what DC messed up on prior.
What I think though is we've seen a Batman origin story how many times on screen now?
Right, and I agree with that. You don't need to do that, but you could go the Spider-Man route where it's already where Batman is. The Batman is year 2, right? Yeah. You could have made this Batman based on year 3, and had him like he already has a Robin. Like I said, I would have been okay with this. Just I don't think on top of all of the baggage you're gonna have to unload that you need Damian. Damian adds such a difficult story to tell. It's its own entire comic
unless
book
they
series.
Make Damian older, unless they're making Damian 16, 17.
But then at that point, now you have even more to explain because he's been Robin for a while, and you're like,
yeah,
okay. But it's just every other movie in this thing is a basically an origin story, but not the first year. It's like it's a little deeper in, but it's still an origin story. All of these the shows, everything
Yeah.
that's setting up, except Brave and the Bold. Brave and the Bold is 10 years in, like figure it out. We don't even know who Batman is.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like,
I have my
anyways,
thoughts.
I digress. I mean, if you do it and you keep Ben Affleck as Batman and you make it so that Ben Affleck has Batman has died, we can make something of that because they've already established Jason Todd has died in that universe.
Yeah.
Mind you, Jared Leto has to be Joker. Moving on.
I think we can do a Batman story without the Joker.
Hey,
I think you could too. Yeah.
I said moving on.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Okay. So, for Putty, we got Swamp Thing. So me and JD also talked at this one about length. We made a whole video. I liked the show, and I think there was a lot of room to grow there. I think it got axed just to save money, and that's unfortunate. Swamp Thing has had 2 previous movies. Both were poo-poo. And I think it's actually a character with a lot of good story to tell. It falls into the same vein as like Ant-Man or Constantine, or sorry, Ant-Man, Animal Man or Constantine, where they're in the darker universe of DC.
Yeah, Justice League Dark.
And in the animated world, the 2 or 3 movies that have involved Swamp Thing he's worked relatively good. Well,
you were saying that this may be a retaliation to Marvel doing Man-Thing?
I think so. Especially because James Gunn works there.
Yeah.
See, okay, well,
he saw how well it went over, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, here's my thing. When it comes to Swamp Thing, we're talking about the pitches and everything. I mean, I guess I'll go ahead and pitch it now. Is this I haven't seen the new series you guys are talking about. I do want to sit down and watch and everything. I don't know where the story is targeted in that way, but I know there's a lot of different origins depending on which one. I don't know which one's the most popular or which one they use as far as Alex or Alec. By the way, there's 2 different persons: Alex Olsen, Alec Holland. I don't know which one they used for the series. Which, by the way, which one they did?
I think it was Holland, right?
Yeah, they used Holland.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so for those that don't know, Alec Holland is the version that they used in the Alan Moore, the Saga of the Swamp Thing.
That's what this is going to be based on.
Yeah.
Oh, this is going to be based on that one?
Yeah.
Okay, well, then my pitch needs to be changed because I said it was going to be combined with stuff because I was wondering how they were going to do about if they were going to do his wife Linda, if they were going to do that whole story, if they were. But again,
well, keep going. Your pitch is good. Yeah.
Well, here's my thing. I didn't pick an actor like JD did because I couldn't think of an actor because you're with Swamp Thing you got to think more of the vocal and acting. The actor itself that plays the character. You really put that out there?
Vin Diesel, I am Swamp Thing.
But it works, right? That's someone you like, and he's a voice actor.
Well, he would be good with the voice. My problem is who would be Alec. I don't know who to pick on that. If you guys have ideas, it'd be good. Because here's my reason why I say that. We definitely need somebody that's able to take things of torment in an isolated way. You know what I mean? The reason I'm excited about this is because we do have James Gunn here that has handled very obscure characters like Groot that can work with plants and animals and things like that really worked. And the reason I feel like Alan Moore run is better is because I feel like his run was way more tragic. At the same time, it was way more dynamic in opening a bigger world. Does that make sense?
Every Alan Moore comic is tragic.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course, it's true. But it works for Swamp Thing, and that's why it really works with the idea in a movie because I feel like
I agree.
He saw Man-Thing, and he saw that people, you can feel emotion for something like that. But he already had that idea with Groot. You know what I mean? Now you can take it where you can turn something that looks bad but turns good and make a great story arc that would just be unbelievable, and introduce the whole thing about the plants and everything, which could seep into an idea of maybe even getting to Poison Ivy as well.
I already was just going to say that just to hijack your pitch. I think with his knowledge with the Man-Thing and with Groot, the reason he's making this specific movie is because if this does well, if this proves that he can sell on this product, he's going to make a Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy thing. 100%, because he's desperate to work with Margot Robbie again in this universe. I keep saying Margot Robbie again in this universe.
And that would be perfect.
Him and her apparently have really good chemistry together, and they want to do more with Harley.
And what makes that so great is if you can pick the right person to play Poison Ivy, the demographic you have now hit. There's so many people that are going to come see this movie for so many different variations, whether you're a lesbian or you're somebody that's a comic book geek or unfortunately a teenage boy. You know what I mean? Like, it sounds weird,
or you like
but
plants.
It's true. Or you like plants. But my point is, you actually are hitting so many points that's going to make
that's not where I would have went. I would have said you're hitting so many demographics for the sense that you have animated series fans, you're going to have the Batman and Robin fans, you're going to have comic books, you're going to have the Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy show currently that should be called Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, I think you're correct.
Yeah, I could see that working totally. Maybe throwing a little Animal Man in there.
And this could be, but Animal Man actually links up really well with Swamp Thing.
Yeah,
exactly. Well, that's the thing I was trying to talk about before. That's the reason why Poison Ivy felt like the first example, because a lot more people know what Poison Ivy is. But you have so many other characters that link to it. Not even just with him, but with Alec alone is one person that connects to it. But that's what I'm wondering. That I want to leave that open when it comes to actor for one reason. I don't really know who to pick depending on how they're taking this when it comes to the open world of the DC universe. Because if you got to have somebody that can handle this stuff outside without being Swamp Thing himself, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, depending if they're just going to make it like how is this? I don't know how they're going to do it when it comes into the bigger world. Is he just going to be it at that point forever? You know what I mean? I mean, are we going to have some of the arcs that had the other Swamp Things in there? I mean, you get what I'm saying? Like, I don't know where they're going with that. You know what I mean?
I don't think so. I think there won't be any other Swamp Things.
Okay.
He'll be the one.
He'll just be the one. Because the good thing about Swamp Thing is you can use him to do the movie, and the way he functions in the comics and in the DC universe is he just goes away after. He doesn't want contact with humans. He doesn't, until something comes to harm where he lives. He's stays,
or if it harms the environment.
Yes, he's not confrontational. He only does one thing, and that's
he'll defend.
Yeah. So
that opens up
it works because
into the bigger universe,
it doesn't affect the major universe, right? You're not forced to have Swamp Thing be part of Justice League. You know what I mean? You don't have to shoehorn him into anything.
But then again, if something's threatening the environment, say a la Aquaman may go to Swamp Thing for help.
Yeah, which you're going to see that in Animal Man. When Animal Man is coming, I promise. And that's not
Ewan
none of my
McGregor,
pitches.
please. Ewan McGregor.
Well, see, like I said, I think this is just. I think they're looking at other universes that can bring in other universes, and that's James Gunn's smart about that. You know what I mean? And Swamp Thing, I feel like it's going to be a big catalyst in opening up a very obscure universe that everyone are going to love. So.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to move on. The last movie is The Authority.
Respect my authority.
So. We all don't know anything about this.
Nope. I haven't read. This is one of the few comics I have not read.
Yeah, it's a weird one too because it's not even technically a DC property. It became
Valiant?
but it was Jim Lee, I believe. Don't quote me here. I'm sorry. I should have did some research on this.
But
and so these characters were created outside, and then through a DC purchase, they slowly merged into the. DC
no, Image is its own thing. It's not part of DC. I think
it was Valiant because Valiant became the dark universe for DC.
Oh, really? Well, see, but that's where
Image is its own thing. Image is Spawn, Savage Dragon, Walking Dead.
Well, I know that, but I figured Jim Lee because remember he made a lot of stuff over there, and I thought that there was something that was carried over from there apparently, but maybe not because the other thing. This goes into the Static Shock series. Is there a link to this to Static Shock, and this is how they're trying to introduce him?
Okay, so Static Shock was created as a TV show, how Harley Quinn was in the 90s.
But it got brought into the comics. But it was Valiant that actually brought it in there. Yeah.
Well, okay, so Valiant was its own thing, and then DC purchased it and used it as an outlet to make their R-rated comics, like V for Vendetta. It was a Valiant. Stuff like that. Anyways, I don't have really anything to say about this.
I don't know what they're going to do with it. I'll watch it just to see what the hell they're going to do.
I'm interested because I don't know anything. And
could he be leading towards a Authority versus Suicide Squad?
It's possible. I think DC's going to do anything to get more Harley Quinn.
Yeah, and I
And
think because they oppose Argus, maybe Argus.
it could, because you're also going to get the Waller show, and that could spin
Yeah.
off from that somehow. Okay, well, that's the first thing here. We're switching over to TV, and we have Waller.
Viola
I mean,
Davis. I'm glad she's back.
Yeah, Viola Davis is so good.
She's the good thing about these, and you could definitely tell this is leading into her being the Nick. Well, it's already has. She is the Nick Fury of the DC universe, and I feel like James Gunn knows this, so he's like, okay, we can keep her, but start using her. So we already have the Suicide Squad. They have that set up because of James Gunn. So now you have her involved with that, which means she can now be the Nick Fury.
And we've
set
also
up this universe
established
we've been wanting.
Peacemaker and his friends as their own thing.
Which means that James Gunn's on a good start to making things good and just using the things he knows he can use from this that will work and put it into his own world.
Yeah, because when he was asked too, he goes, "How come you're recasting some guys and you're not recasting other people?" He goes, "Just because it's an alternate universe doesn't mean that every character is going to be different. Some characters can still look the same in a different universe."
Well, and in a lot of the universes, the Aquaman is going to be so and so, and it's going to be Bruce Wayne is going to be Batman in almost all of them, so he's probably going to look the same in almost all of them, right? And I think that makes sense, because if you look at the multiverse, especially from Marvel's perspective, especially in the comic books, some of the universes, the Spider-Man in that universe is not Peter Parker. It's Ben Reilly or someone.
Mary Jane Watson.
Watson. Some of them are Gwen Stacy and so on, right? And in DC, it's less like that. It's a lot more. It's the same person or a variant of Bruce Wayne. So Bruce Wayne isn't the Batman that you know. It's a different, right? Or Thomas Wayne became Batman.
Wayne could be Batman, yeah.
Or Owlman. So as we digress from the situation, but I think Waller is a really good place to
ground everything.
This is the center of the universe. I think you establish and you build out from Waller.
Yeah, and wait till we get that Waller versus Lex.
Well,
yeah,
not even that. People don't realize this too. We are going to be connected back to that with Peacemaker. Remember, Waller's daughter was part of Peacemaker, which means we're probably going to see her in this series, and it's going to connect back to that, which means that
which is weird because Peacemaker 2 has been permanently postponed until he gets everything together.
It's funny, but I think that's funny. I didn't even think about it that way. Yeah, but
I thought that's weird, especially because of how well it did. It just to
strike while the iron's hot, right?
Well, here's what I think is going to happen. I think because Peacemaker's so good and they want to make a push the character, I feel like even DC themselves realize like they got some money here. So that I feel like even in the comic books, I haven't been reading anything lately, but I feel like Peacemaker might be pushed as a regular character because it's such.
Wasn't he part of that Valiant universe as well?
I don't know.
No, he was part of what's the name of it? It was another company that they had. It wasn't Valiant. Okay. It was the other company that got Shazam and all that. They got Peacemaker from that. Yes, they got Peacemaker. So, and that's why I like that this is all happening like this, because you're bringing these obscure characters that have a very superhero Superman look, but bring that edge that we need that people are loving when it comes to some other characters that are edgy out there. You know what I mean?
And I think which we'll get to later with my choice of character. They need to continue with the grounded characters in DC, because when it comes to Batman, it throws him out of a loop when he's the one grounded character in a team of metahumans.
Good point.
So we'll move on from this. The next show, which surprisingly I didn't pick, is Booster Gold. I'm very excited for this, and just like hashtag, please make it Zac Efron.
Yes.
Like, just please. He looks perfect to be, and he's right at the right age. He's in
he could play that type of dick character.
Yeah, he knows you could play it. He can hit the comedy. He's physically fit, and he's at the same age as this guy would be as like a washed up wannabe superhero in like his late 30s.
Who goes back in time to like boost his name, basically.
Yeah.
It's like he was born to play this role.
I've been saying that, man, and I'm glad
you've been saying that for years now.
That think that now, because like nobody wants to agree with me on that, and I think he's perfect for this role.
I could see that.
I'm very excited for this, because this is the perfect of all of the characters we've named so far. This is the perfect James Gunn guy. This is a James Gunn character to the max. This is Star-Lord on crack.
Yeah, he's right. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, okay, I don't have anything else for that. That's good for me. All right, so we're gonna hit my pitch right now, so I'll let you guys talk about it first. Your basic thoughts. Green Lantern, the show.
Okay, so I don't know where first one is it Hal Jordan? Which is it?
Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart.
Jon Stewart.
Really?
Yeah, it's going to be like a buddy cop type of show.
Ooh, now see, anything like that happen?
And we know how Campo loves his buddy cop movies,
right? But see, I don't know if I've never read anything like that because Green Lantern was a very hit or miss for me when it came to it.
There was like a Green Lantern Corps, which kind of this is going to be more of a detective crime type of thing.
Well, see, the thing
is, I understand, like a detective type of movie.
It all depends on. Here's my thing. I'm a little bit concerned about how they're going to handle this because of the whole CGI thing. Because you still have to kind of use CGI. It's just a matter of doing it properly.
But this is the thing. I think you can go basic because a lot of it, the CGI is going to be just them in space. So you're not going to need to do too much because a lot of it's going to be, if it's going to be what they're saying, they'll be in buildings walking around and like talking to people, and we'll see how it goes. But yeah, sorry, did anyone
like
else
a Falcon Winter Soldier type of thing?
Yeah,
well,
where they were very street level.
I want to say this. I'm waiting for your pitch on this because it's going to lead into the part 2 of this video that we have, and I feel like it's going to also be a great way to bring in that storyline as well too. And we'll get to So I'll bring that up later on once we get to it. So I have some things to add on to the Green Lantern thing once you get done. So
okay. So JD, do you want to say anything?
No, I Green Lantern's one of my favorite characters, so I'm interested to see what they're gonna do with this and who they'll cast.
All right,
because
my idea is gonna be better. Okay.
Sure.
So we're gonna play this like a modern detective show. Okay. So someone's killing Green Lanterns. Someone's figured out a way to kill Green Lanterns. The show's going to start. 2 Green Lanterns are already dead. It's going to open up, introduce some people. A 3rd Green Lantern's going to die. So now they're building this like force of like, okay, we got to figure it out. They put Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan together because they're both from the military. So they have like an idea of how to do this kind of stuff. So yada, yada. So they send them out. Okay. Somewhere into this story, maybe early on, a 4th Green Lantern will die, and it's got to be someone of name value, like Salak or
Kilowog.
It can't be Kilowog. It's got to be like one of the skinny guys, Salak or one of those, but like a popular-ish name, so that it gives them like, now they're upset that this is happening, and through the 4th person dying is when they're going to start to find the thread of what's happening. And what I want them to do is throughout this show, so everyone's established already. This universe is established where they won't dig too deep, but it's going to set up. You're going to meet Guy Gardner. You're going to meet Kyle Rayner. And Kyle Rayner could even be a White Lantern already. He's the only White Lantern. But they can do that thing like where they go to ask them questions like, what do you know? Blah, blah, blah. So I want them to be like in it. I want somewhere along the lines, some kind of mention of Alan Scott. Maybe in season 2, you go to him to get something and it's an old man. You know what I mean? I want some kind of teases in it to be tied back to alien characters that will show up later, like Brainiac maybe, or Martian Manhunter. I don't want these to be seen. I want it to be like an Easter egg or like someone mentions what happened on Mars, blah, blah, blah. So I want John David Washington as Jon Stewart.
Ooh.
I want Ryan Gosling as Hal Jordan. I want Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Sinestro. And I want Dev Patel to play the villain, who will be Dr. Polaris.
Oh.
And the reason I picked him is because he can interact with... He's kind of like Magneto, but like to a deeper degree of like a molecule level stuff. And I think maybe you have him, he's found a way to remove the rings off them when they're sleeping. and then kills them because they have no way to defend themselves, right? Through like the stone that the ring is made out of, there's like some kind of iron in it, so he can pull the ring off of them. Like, you know what I mean? Because the only way you're killing Green Lanterns if you found some kind of secret way to kill Green Lanterns.
Will you have other lanterns in the show?
Yes, so that's why I'm saying this. Everyone's established.
So someone like a Larfleeze or Atrocious.
So Sinestro will be part of the Green Lantern Corps. He's going to be the one, maybe like the lead, the chief of police, who's like, you two are going to be the ones to go do this. And this establishes the character for later when he does go evil. And I think not only does Joseph Gordon-Levitt have a kind of look of Sinestro already, he's also a really good actor. And he's older than you think. So by the time they get to that movie, he'll have like an age to him. And I think the same goes for Gosling and Washington. They're both in their 30s. They've already been through the military. They've already been Green Lanterns, so they're not like
they're already established
young kids, right? And I think that goes a long way. And I think you don't want your first villain to be someone. You want it to be someone good, but not someone you're worried about killing off. And you want it to be a deep cut for the fans, but also a fun way to introduce new people to it. Because I think you can have the little tongue-in-cheekness of this. Maybe you play it off, so tone-wise, you play it off like The Nice Guys, where it's like a buddy cop movie. There's like a comedy aspect to it, but there's a real, actual noir-style mystery happening, and it's dark. So it's like there is like a dramatic element here. It's not going to be goofy. And I think that plays well into it, and that was my pitch.
Cool. I like it.
Because it's going to be a show, right? So it's got to like, you have to drag it out through episodes.
Have to drag it out, yeah.
And that's a fun way. You could be like, oh, we need information. Let's go see that stupid idiot. And they go knock on the door and it's Guy Gardner. You know what I mean?
What if it's that little, like, the Red Lantern that's like the little rock ball?
I was
looks like Geodude.
It was either him or Chipped. That's what his name is, right?
Yeah.
Chipped? The squirrel.
Squirrel, yeah.
That's who I was thinking of killing off, but I thought that's too obscure. Pick one of the skinny guys, and Salak was like the best one. Because you can have
the squirrels be such a great background character anyway that can constantly be repeated. Like I could see Gunn doing.
He could be like that comedy relief that follows them around everywhere.
Exactly.
I mean, and you could have that, right? That could be your Groot. That could be your Rocket.
Exactly.
And that's what he loves. And guess who could play him? His brother.
Shaun, yeah.
All right, we can have Weasel show up. So, continuing on our little train of happiness here, Paradise Lost. I think this is super interesting as an idea because
it takes place really thousands of years.
And it has no bearing on what will happen in this universe, so you can go batshit crazy. It also establishes the entire history of the Amazons to give more relevance to the story of Wonder Woman come the future.
So are they recasting for her though?
More than likely.
She won't be in this. This will be way before she was born.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's right. So that would make sense.
This will be the establishing of Themyscira is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Like this is how they got there.
A la House of the Dragon type of thing.
Yes, and that's what they're going for. They want to do like there's going to be like families fighting. I think the show will end with all the Amazons being forced to go live on Themyscira. And I think that's how and then there'll be season 2.
Get rid of all the men.
Season 2 will just be called Themyscira. And that's
which makes sense too. That's a good one-time story that you could do as a series. You know what I mean?
Sorry, just got a pop-up for Suicide Squad Kid the Justice League.
So okay, well, jumping back. Anyone else have anything for Paradise Lost?
I'm interested to see what they do. I hope it's going to be like one of those like we enjoy those politicking type shows, a la House of the Dragon, a la House of Cards. Like I really like those politicking type shows, and we need more of that. We don't have enough of that, and I'm really interested to see where they go with this. And I would love to see, because that's something that's never really been discussed, is the history of Themyscira. And why there are no men there. Like
it also, like I said, it will establish a deep background story for Wonder Woman.
Who knows? A character that's introduced here could be someone that can live thousands of years and eventually show up further down the line as a big bad.
It's funny that you guys see that too,
for something.
Because the thing is we've had we've never really had any like Kryptonian stories, things that nature. But see, things like Superman, characters like Batman, you don't need to have any background stories from any past for it to make sense. But with Wonder Woman, the whole backstory of no men and things of that nature really was something that has a storyline that I never even thought about until now. That really would bring a new element to it. And at the same time, for people that don't know Wonder Woman, it'll give them a bigger like background for her that's going to make it more universal, I guess. Does that make sense? Like,
I mean, Wonder Woman is part of the big three. Like,
yeah, exactly. So not having that origin feels like you need to have something like that because it's much different storyline than a human or an alien. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's jump to our finals thing. Creature Commandos. This is like, you know what's funny?
Monster Squad.
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking.
We didn't talk. We talked about it before, but we kind of brushed over it. And now, when I went back and I saw it, I do know what Creature Commandos are, and I think it's kind of like Howling Commandos from
Marvel. Okay.
Oh,
so
they just cast for that. They just cast the Marvel guy for the character of what's his name's dad. Because remember the Howling. I remember that now. Howling Commandos was. Okay,
there. One guy's a werewolf. One guy's Frankenstein.
There's the brother.
I remember now. I don't remember by name though. It was just something that was always mentioned or something like that.
But I think this is a cool concept, especially as a show, right? I think that will draw people in. In a theater, this might not pull people in, but as a show, I think you'll get people to watch.
What if the main bad of that is Solomon Grundy?
Yes, exactly. You could do Solomon Grundy. I was gonna say that. That's crazy that you thought the same thing.
Yeah, like it just fits in so well. Like, you know, it starts off born on a Monday, died on and just like the show starts off with that rhyme.
And then the smart thing you do is just you don't kill him off.
Because you can't
have him come back.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could go a few ways here. I think you could also beat Marvel to the punch and have them start out as in like the late 1800s and have them show their progression, and then they get to like World War II where they meet like the DC version of Red Skull. I can't think off the top of my head. There's a guy, but it's not happening in my brains right now.
Well, it's funny you say that too, because even if they had to do something like a montage feel, I'm actually going to reference a movie which is the worst ever Marvel movie.
I know where you're going with
the
this.
The intro was just so amazing and everything, which was in X-Men Origins Wolverine. If you remember the intro, where
the intro was good. I got to give that.
That was the only thing that was
a
good
fun
about the movie.
Montage intro where they're going through them throughout the ages.
And I feel like if they did something like that over there, it would really work with that whole thematic as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, and that's perfect. You have it lead right up into the modern times or like put in like the 80s where they fight Grundy and they think they killed Grundy, and then as we get
shows
to
up
modern time in
25 years later.
He shows up again. Not for them, but like in a Superman story or a Batman story or something, right? But you establish him as like the villain in the 80s in this show. And then you could have season 2 be in the 90s and then have season 3 be in the 2000s and time skip like that for these guys. Because they're like ever living creatures.
They're immortals, kind of like the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, I only wanted to do one video, but this has gone very long, so I think I'm going to make this into 2 videos. And guys, thank you for watching. Come back for episode 4 of the RLG cast. Check out their stuff below, and peace out.